Good afternoon, friends. Welcome, Prashant, Indian Express.
Thank you.
Mr. Kishor doesn't need any introduction. Been a crucial player, a part of Indian politics for the last 5-6 years. But he has largely remained behind the scenes, working with the likes of Narendra Modi, Rahul Gandhi, Nitish Kumar. Now, the last 2 months, he has come out, made a plunge to politics. So the format is, you can make an opening statement which you have said you don't want. So let's go to questions straight away.
Yes, it's my pleasure to be here. Feel free to ask whatever you want to ask.
When you made this decision to join politics, we were told that you were talking to the BJP, there was some sort of offer from the BJP. Then why did you choose to join JDU, a regional party, as compared to the BJP?
Why I went to JDU? Primarily because I wanted to be in Bihar. I wanted to work in Bihar. And in Bihar, there were very few options for me. Either I would have worked with JDU or I would have created something of my own. And that is why JDU, and I have looked up to Nitish Kumar. He has done some work which I admire for the last 10-15 years. He has been one of the finest chief ministers. And this is a party which is small but doesn't come with much of baggage. So for me, it's like literally a clean slate. Ideologically, I feel more connected to what they do and what they describe as their ideology. But primary idea is to be closer to where I want to be, which is the state of Bihar.
You joined the JDU in September. In October...
16th of September,
yeah,
yes.
In October, a month later, you was made the vice president of the party. Even Rahul Gandhi had to work for 3 years to become a general secretary, 9 years to become a vice president. So what do you bring to the JDU table that within a month they have made you a vice president?
That question you should ask to Nitish Kumar, but I have been working with JDU in different capacity for the last 3-4 years. In between, of course, I was not active with them, but in 2014-15, I have worked with them almost 1 year. So it is not a new association per se, and my connect with Nitish Kumar or the top leadership of the JDU has been always there. So it is not all of a sudden going to a party and becoming vice president, which to my mind is it's significant but not that significant. The post or the designation is not that significant. Important thing is whether I'm able to do what I want to do. And one important thing which Nitish ji has agreed is in this role I want to open up politics for youth, and he has agreed to it. One of the constraints I have realized in my own experience, having worked with BJP, Congress, that it's very difficult to get youth, new people who are not connected otherwise to politics, in politics. Despite the fact that a lot of people want to come to politics, one of the major constraints is the entry. People don't know how to get into a party, but more importantly, how to get into electoral politics. These are two things which Nitish ji has committed that he will give me the free hand to do. I am there with my own experience to help people to come join politics, and then he as a leader should give me the leeway to make them come in electoral politics. We have made a statement on record that in next 2-3 years I want JDU elected set of people, average age to come down to around 45. So next election, whenever we fight, you would see JDU fielding at least 30, 40, 50 candidates who otherwise would be seen as the newcomers. Something which Congress, when Rahul Gandhi started, if I recall correctly, 2007-8, he tried through IYC and SUI, but not very many success stories because of. So you might see in Bihar next local bodies elections, we will fight on the party symbol. Imagine if we get 10,000 new youth as mukhias, sarpanches, ward, Jila Parishad presidents, and that's what I want to dedicate my next 2-3 years, and that is why I have gone to JDU, and that's why I have gone to Bihar.
You were also seen as a person who was capable of bringing alliances. You did it in Bihar, you did it in UP. So there was expectation that Prashant Kishor will go on the next national level of alliance opposition camp, where he probably his heart lies. Suddenly you made this switch. How do you explain this? I mean, you used to earlier say that you are ideology agnostic. So now you are you've taken an ideological position in a way by joining a political party. So how do you reconcile these last few years of your political journey?
First of all, I have never said that I am ideologically agnostic. This is what media said, because I have not been speaking. You write what you write and what you understand about me. I have stated my position when I spoke first at ISB Hyderabad that I am, in my own head, for the lack of better Indianized phrase, I consider my ideology closer to centre left. But I am also a firm believer that having ideology is very good, but it should not intoxicate you. You know, it suits parties, leaders, religious, political, social, any leader, for the followers to get intoxicated with ideology so that you lose objectivity. You are a follower of Congress, they don't deliver, but they want you to keep voting for them. I don't think that is the right approach. Just because I believe in ideology of BJP and they do something wrong, I shouldn't question them because I believe in ideology of BJP. I don't think many people would like to. Actually, if you ask, people don't agree with it. Regarding this coalition, first of all, I think we are highly overrated in terms of our ability to influence election or do alliances and all. Elections are won or lost by the leaders, by the party, the narrative they set, the people what they think of them. People like us on the margin bring some kind of order. That is it. In India, where elections are so vast, so big, no individual, no organization, no matter how capable he or she is, can claim to have a significant influence one way or other. So I do not see that I was instrumental in any which way in victory of 2014 or alliance in Bihar or later on. In the course of the election process, campaign, sometime alliance becomes a reality and you work on it. As much as making a booth committee or getting a communication right or getting the press conference organized or rallies organized, alliances is just one of it. It's not that I'm an alliance expert or I'm a social media expert or I'm a booth formation expert. I'm none of it. We are there to do whatever parties expect or whatever is required to make process look more organized, managed, better managed in order to win.
How do you assess the next election, 2019? What would be the importance of allies, for both sides, whether it is, BJP or Congress? How are you assessing the importance of allies in the coming elections?
Arithmetic alone is not enough, no matter how powerful it is. So you can have as big an alliance as possible, but in my limited understanding, unless you have a narrative going for you, my sense is by and large BJP is in lead. They have to lose from here. But we all know with our experience, you can win or lose election in a matter of 10 days, 12 days. If you make a mistake towards end or closer to the vote, we have seen even not only in India, look at US, one statement and that changed the game. So anyone who is thinking that's a done deal, it's a little bit premature. But having said so, the way it is, if elections are to happen today, there's no two way about it that BJP should be in lead, at least as the single largest party.
So you don't see a mighty BJP winning 272 plus?
Very difficult, very difficult. In this country where, and it has got nothing to do about the leader or the cadre or the opposition, whether they are weak or strong. My sense is, in a country where 800 million people, close to 70% people, if you look at that in terms of electorates, are not making 100 rupees a day, it is very difficult to gauge what is going on in their mind because they are voiceless. Those who are speaking and people like you or I or others are trying to gauge what the popular sentiment or mood is, are actually majority of the time we are capturing the sentiment of the people who have the voice. 800 million people or 700 million people do not have the voice, or even if they have a voice, they are not necessarily engaged in the political discourse of any kind. And that's why election results surprise at times, because they are busy with their survival. They are busy with doing what is needed to put the bread on their kids on the table. They are least bothered about what is what election campaign BJP is doing, or Congress is doing, or Prashant Kishor is doing, or Nitish Kumar is doing. So the poorer people, if they are not expressing, that does not mean that they do not have a political opinion. The vote is equal for everyone, and that is why ruling parties are always, they look stronger, and especially under a strong leadership, ruling party looks even more stronger than what they are, because there is also fear factor playing. No one wants to say negative things about them, but that doesn't mean that they are going to vote same way as they are expressing themselves today. So I would say BJP is in lead, but anyone who is thinking that it's one way, there is no competition, there is no challenge, and BJP is sweeping, to my mind, it would be a wrong thing. If I'm in BJP, I would be very wary of such sentiment that, oh, it's all done in and there is no opposition and so we are going to sweep.
Prashant, you said you were very impressed by the good governance of Nitish Kumar. Can you please elaborate on that? 5 key areas where you really think Nitish Kumar has excelled.
There's no two way about it that Bihar need to go and develop itself by leaps and bounds in years to come. But what yardstick you want to apply to judge Nitish Kumar as a chief minister is where he has started from. That's first thing. Second, if the political history of this era would be written, no matter who you are, he would figure into top 5 chief minister in last 15 years. There will be very few people who would not put him in 5. They might rank him low, along with some of the other successful chief ministers. He will rank among top 4, top 5 in this era. In terms of data, see, Bihar, if you look at economic data, if that is what interests you, then Bihar has grown at the rate of 9.5% CAGR versus 7.5. GDP growth is full 2 percentage point higher during Nitish's era versus what India has registered. If you look at per capita income growth, there again, compared to 11% in India, Bihar has seen 20%. If you look at the poverty ratio decline in poverty ratio, among all the states in last 15 years, Bihar has registered the steepest decline in poverty ratio. At the time of independence, the gap between literacy level of people in Bihar and India was 5 percentage point. India at 18% and Bihar was at 13%. Women and men, for both, the gap was 5%. At its worst, in 2004, when Nitish Kumar took over, this gap became 17%. Imagine a state, while whole of India was growing, getting better, Bihar was declining on the relative basis. Between 2004 to 2014, the gap has now narrowed to 8%. In terms of girls, this gap has now narrowed, which at its worst in 2004 was 23%, is now in single digit. That is what he has done. Now you talk about crime. Again, you have to look at the relative basis, look at the data. Bihar, which accounts for roughly 10% of Indian population, at its worst in 2004, of all the recorded robbery and dacoity, Bihar was accounting for 1/4 of it, meaning 20% of the recorded dacoities or robberies in India were happening in Bihar, while in terms of population they were 10%. That proportion, that ratio has gone down to 4%. How do you say that law and order has become worst? This is the data. And there will be anecdotal evidence, there will be evidence, there will be incidents which still government need to be worried about. But when you judge a chief minister, you have to look at long-term data, you have to look at what they have delivered on income, on security, on well-being, on health. That means compared to other states, Bihar is relatively doing better. Even look at the electricity. Every household, so much is being talked about the central government, 18,000 villages being electrified. Since 2004, in Bihar alone, 22,000 villages has been electrified. Literally almost 55 to 60% of villages were not electrified. And now, just on this month, they have announced they have electrified every household much ahead of Uttar Pradesh. I have been telling this to Mr. Nitish Kumar also and publicly also, that gone are the days when you keep going back to the voter and say, give me vote because I have improved on what situation was there before I came. It's time he sets highest benchmark for himself. It's time Bihar competes with at least mid-level states like Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, rather than just keep comparing ourselves with what was there in 1990s.
So in the last 3 years, the big what keeps made news outside of Bihar was Prohibition. That was a big policy. It came, and now of course there's been some backtracking on some of the more draconian measures. How do you assess it as a policy man, the direct trajectory of this Prohibition experiment?
If you ask me, as 41-year-old, I believe in freedom of choice. Speech, color, religion, dress, what you want to eat, what you want to drink. But prohibition is something which could be debated and argued both sides. There is definite plus for if it is implemented on the ground correctly, then there is definite advantage for those who are at the bottom of the development pyramid. But the challenge is in implementation, especially if you are a state like Bihar, which is landlocked, and you are surrounded by 4 or 5 states. So the challenge on implementation remains, because if there is no liquor available, politically, socially, economically, it is beneficial. There is no two way about it. I am 100% convinced about it. The problem is the law exists, and if it is not getting implemented, then you don't get the benefit of absence of liquor, but you get all those who are consuming liquor, they are getting angry because they are paying more, and the women or those who were affected by liquor consumption, they anyway has to confront the same problems which they were earlier. So you lose on the both sides. It's a double-edged sword. If you are not able to implement it, politically it works if you implement it, but if you don't implement it well, be ready to pay a very heavy price. And that's why states like Andhra, where long back it was implemented and they slowly let it go, but at the early years it happens. It has happened in Bihar, but you already see they have at least taken out the draconian part of it, criminality which was attached to it. Slowly it should. If you look at what Gandhiji has said, because a lot of people find they try to justify it under Gandhi's what Gandhi has, but Gandhi has not talked about a state implementing it. He has talked about people living it on their own, and a state focusing on rehabilitation and support.
There is demand for a law, an ordinance. People are saying they're getting impatient. Do you see it as a political narrative being built slowly in view of the Lok Sabha elections, and what is the JDU's stand on the Ram Temple issue?
See, whenever there is election, different people, different section in a party also, they try to build the narrative which they believe is going to work in their favor. It happens in a small party, big party, BJP, otherwise also. As far as JDU is concerned, to the best of my knowledge, I am new to the party, so I don't know much about it, but I would like, whatever I could recall, their position is clear that the Supreme Court should decide, and whatever court decide, everyone should respect. I don't see we changing that position anytime soon. There is no reason for party to change. If you are implying that we are in NDA, and if such situation arise, what will happen? I'm sure party will deliberate it at the appropriate forum. But I do not see JDU, with whatever little capacity we have, we would change our position on this. The very fact that JDU is a separate party and is in alliance, it tells me that there are some issues on which we are in agreement, and that's why we are in alliance. But we are a separate party. That also tells us that there are issues on which we do not necessarily are in agreement, and otherwise we would have been in BJP. So what is the need of having a separate party? So alliance, yes, there are a lot of issues on which there is broad consensus or agreement, and that is why we are in alliance. But if on the issues on which we are not in agreement, we are not going to be changing that just because BJP wants, or for that matter anyone wants.
Yes. So while you said it's leaders who win elections, a large part of the credit for the 2014 elections was for the win of Narendra Modi. It was given to you and the digital campaign that you and your team ran. However, since then, the digital space has sort of got saturated. You have all leaders, everyone's on Facebook and everyone's on Twitter, there are fights on Twitter. what role, as an election strategist, what role do you think the digital space will play in 2019 at a time when the have-nots that you mentioned, if they don't have food and education, but everyone has a cell phone and they are on WhatsApp, they are on Facebook, what role do you think, and well, the novelty has sort of gone for now, but what role do you think the digital space will play in 2019?
See, whether it's a Facebook or Twitter or any, for that matter, any social media or a digital platform, it's just the means to communicate. Earlier you used to write letters, now you are sending the message through Twitter. I do not see much difference in that. As far as how much importance or the role it will play in this election, see, novelty might have gone in terms of platform, but the scale has become much bigger. Just to give you numbers, in 2014, the smartphone numbers in India were, or people with internet connection, were around 4 to 5 crores. Right now that number is 35 to 40 crores. So while the have-nots, there is a 50% electorate who are not on any kind of this connected world. 50% people are on this part of this ecosystem which is connected. So to my mind, but more important than this is the data prices going down. People do not pay attention to that part. In 2014, even those 5 crore people, if I were to send a video, even low middle class people will not download it, because you had a package for which you have paid a price and you want to only selectively download a video or any audio video material you want to consume. With the crash in data prices, now people are consuming data like anything. So anyone who has ability to communicate and connect through handheld devices will have an advantage. So that way it is very, very important. If I am able to make short videos, I will be able to connect better than someone who is trying to address a big rally, because a short video pushed through the network will reach to nooks and corners of India very quickly. But if you look at the BJP or Congress or traditional parties, how many of them have capacity to produce short videos? So if I am advising them, I will tell them to create a video unit. Even some of traditional media channels, they are, creating short videos is a very big challenge, quality videos. But if you are able to do that, then your connect and your ability to influence public opinion would be that much bigger. Not only because internet has gone there or smartphone is there, it's because data is cheap. Everyone in Hindi heartland, in the poorer states, if you look at the data consumption pattern in India, poorer section is consuming more data than those who are well off. Because you and I, probably we have access to various means. We are also watching television, we are doing something else. At home you also have other social engagement. Those who belong to have-nots all of a sudden has found this cheap smartphone combined with almost free data. They go home, they consume this. They watch movie, they watch other kind of material which might not be politically relevant. But if I am a smart campaigner and I start pushing something that interests them, my opponent should be worried.
As an alliance partner, you need not agree with everything that the BJP does. But over the past 4 years since Mr. Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister, there has been enormous confusion over what exactly does JDU agree with the BJP. There has been, in 2015 you went against the BJP, and then it seems that other than being anti-Lalu Prasad, there is nothing binding the BJP and the JDU. So what exactly is the alliance all about?
It's a valid question. In fact, you have been graceful to us by saying that anti-Lalu, because JDU was not even anti-Lalu, we joined hands with Lalu. See, they have been, on this question of him changing sides, we like it or not, this is the reality of Indian politics. Is he better or worse than anybody else? To my mind, not. Just start from, you are all senior journalists, you follow politics. Just start from Kerala, go up to Kashmir. Take any party, DMK, TDP, Pawar Saab, Naidu, Mr. Patnaik, Mamta Di, Mayawati ji, anyone who has in last 15 years who has not turned sides at least twice, thrice, 4 times. But that does not mean that what Nitish Kumar does or have done is right or wrong. I am just giving you the context which you understand. Mr. Naidu, who was at the National Front, then moved to United Front, then moved to BJP, Bajpayee's government, then he went out of Bajpayee government, then he came into Modi's government, then he goes out of Modi government, then now he is championing the cause of those who will defeat Modi. My point, limited point is that if you are willing to trust him, then what is the logic or the reason you have to say that you cannot trust Nitish Kumar? In 15 years, he has been with BJP, he got wiped off when he went out of that alliance, and then he formed, for his political survival maybe, he formed an alliance with Lalu ji and he won and he left that. So, he has an explaining to do, and I tell you why the reason, why he has to do much more explaining is because a lot of people in India started building that hope that he is the guy who will take on Modi. So, when he turned from that position, you felt betrayed. You meaning not you as a person, that vast majority of people outside Bihar who saw in Nitish a possibility or a leader who can take on Modi, they felt betrayed. But in people in Bihar have liked it. All surveys, all ratings, all feedback on the ground is telling that people, him returning to BJP fold is not as disliked in Bihar as it is disliked outside Bihar.
You said Lalu is a phenomenon more than just a leader.
In many ways, in many ways.
The features of this phenomenon, what do you think is a phenomenon?
Because see what he brings, what he has, what he represents in at least in Bihar is a section of society over a period of 10-15 years since his arrival on the political scene in a big way in 1989-90s onwards, they feel empowered, emboldened, but it has, the problem with that phenomena is it was all not positive, because a lot of other sections also got disfranchised, they got fearful, they had to leave state, they have to suffer. So that is why he is a phenomena, because those are those who got affected, generations of them, at least 2 generations got affected. Whether you got emboldened, empowered, got the more of the in the resource pool that was available, or you felt disfranchised, disempowered, had to leave state, and that is why he is a political phenomena, and that is why he is a big political phenomena, I have no doubt about it. Even with the rise of BJP, Mr. Modi, 15 years of Nitish as a chief minister, when people go to vote in Bihar, Lalu ji's, whether he coming or what their vote would do to the position of Lalu ji is one of the most important factor to my mind, at least to 60-70% of people who go to vote.
So why did JDU walk away from Lalu?
That Mr. Nitish Kumar should explain. His stated position is ideally, if I were to advise him at that point of time, I would have done the same thing, but for one change. After forming the government, I would have gone for the election. With BJP, I would have gone for the election. There is no.
So you feel it is unethical for him to continue after breaking with Lalu?
No, it's not a question of unethical. I am saying politically, he would have been far more powerful if he would have taken this decision and gone for seeking one more mandate from people of Bihar, because anyway he would have won. That is my assessment. I could be wrong.
Prashant, around the same time, 5 years ago, 2013-14, you were actively, run up to the Lok Sabha, you were actively working, you saw the Indian politics and India up close. Tell me 2 things, or 3 things, which are different in 2018-19 from the India of 2013-14, politics, society. Has anything changed at all?
First is this digitization is a major thing, transformational thing. So, what Jio has done to your lifestyle. It's like cable entering your house and completely changing the.
That's a private enterprise.
Sorry?
That's a private
No, who does it's unimportant. What I'm saying is, look what cable and satellite has done to societies, the way we spend our evening in our house. Look at what mobile has done to our lifestyle. Look at such things that has changed the way we used to live, assess, respond to things. I think what data prices going down and availability of internet is doing is phenomenal. It's going to be having significant impact in this election and beyond. The second thing is, I hope that there are more people who want to see realistic projection and promises than lofty dream selling. So that's another change I see should be there, and you will see on the ground. You must be feeling, because it happens when someone evolves on the scene and you see him as a transformational person. You build high expectation, lot of hoopla. Then you say everything is going to change in 4 years, so people's expectation going down. I see this election is what you call not a wave election. It's because that expectation has become a little bit more on the realistic side than more on the imaginative, romanticized idea of change. कि 5 साल में सब बदल जाएगा. That has changed. So this people handheld devices coupled with the lowering of the prices, lower prices of data, that allows people to consume information more freely. And second, because what has happened in 4 years, for good or bad, people being more realist, hence the micro issues again coming back should be much more important than what it was in 2014.
That has not come.
I see that is for the people to judge. No single individual can say whether Achhe Din has come or not, because what is Achhe Din for you might not be Achhe Din for me. What is Achhe Din for me might not be Achhe Din for somebody else. What I'm saying is, as a country, overall, I do not see. You said what is the difference in electoral sense? There will be less. It's very difficult to generate that kind of hype again, where everything else became subservient to the fact that I want X leader as a prime minister. That is, I do not see that happening in 2019. And I see this data thing, as I keep repeating, the two substantial thing. Third, candidates probably, just because in absence of hype, candidates becomes much more important. So those there will be many more elections within the elections. In 2014 you had one election. Maybe Bihar will vote differently than UP this time. It will not become very micro as it was, we have seen before 2014, but it will be like in between, because Mr. Modi is still a big phenomena, very popular. BJP machinery is very formidable. So it would not become micro, but I would not be surprised if Bihar votes differently than Rajasthan, or Rajasthan votes differently than Gujarat. So you would see the state level variations much more pronounced than what we saw in 2014.
How do you see, I mean, what difference that you perceive about Punjab, UP, Bihar, Andhra? What difference do you see the new leaders, what they lack or what they are different from the organic leaders? Like Amrinder Singh versus Rahul, or Mulayam Singh versus Akhilesh, Tejasvi versus Lalu. So in a pattern wise, do you see a pattern?
If you ask me personally, I would take the older lot much more seriously, because this newer lot, most of them, they are neither rooted in grassroots nor have necessarily intellectual rooting as it is required. So you are son of a chief minister, you did not go to the best of schools, you have not had the best of world exposure, so you are lacking on that front. But you have also lacking because your father actually came bottom up, so you are neither here nor there. So if you ask me, any day Laluji is a much bigger formidable opponent or an ally than Tejasvi ji. It's not a commentary on, because I have not worked with Tejasvi, so I don't know, he might be better, but this is, I'm talking in general. But the basis of that is that you need one of it. If two is there, you are invincible. But if you have you neither have grassroots rooting nor the intellectual rooting, then where do you stand? All you are standing is what your father has given it to you. And that's why some of them would find it going tough. Whenever they will be challenged by someone who has come on his own, they'll find it difficult. And that's why you see when someone like Mr. Modi comes, a lot of people do not realize what makes Modi as a person, as a leader, so formidable. Just spend 2 minutes looking at his experience. It's unique in India as we stand today. 15 years as Sangh Pracharak, that gives him a first-hand experience of grassroots social fabric of this country. Then 15 years as an organizer, that gives him understanding of how a political system operates in India. Then 15 years as an administrator. Put this 45-year experience at one side and tell me which other leader has this. Imagine when the man is fighting with you, he brings the knowledge, wisdom, understanding coming from this 45 years of experience. It's unique. So if you want to defeat, you need that. You need that grassroots understanding. You need the exposure. You need that administrative skill. You need that social understanding. That is why he is so formidable as a challenger or as an opponent. Because if you want to judge a political spread of the might of the party, to my mind, the best indicator is how many MLAs you have. Just go back and see what is the number of BJP today. It's around 1500. Congress in its heydays used to have 2200, 2300. जो एक क्लीसेड है कि हर गांव में कांग्रेसी मिलता है, वो अभी भी बीजेपी के लिए नहीं है. Because you can win Lok Sabha election, you can win states, but to have that kind of a spread out of 4,000 plus assembly constituencies, how many you are winning or how many you are number 2 is what actually gives real sense of what is your spread and what is your might on the ground. And just the last point on this, and that's why I say Congress is in secular decline since 1989. Despite being in power for 15 years, why the challenge for Rahul is that much bigger? Because Congress decline did not happen in 2014 or 2012. You plot a graph, you go back, plot a graph on number of assemblies Congress has been number 1 and number 2, it's just one-way traffic. Since 1989, Congress is losing number of MLAs from 2200, now they are down to 700. In between you formed government because you made alliances. That does not mean that Congress became, as a party, became big or strong. That is what you, now the BJP is moving from 600 to now they have gone to 1500. For another 20 years, whether Modi is there, Mr. Shah is there, this dispensation is there or somebody else is there, once you cross 1500, the party is going to be one of the central political force for times to come. And I foresee another 20 years, BJP will be one of the central force and someone will come as a challenger, it could be Congress, somebody else. But you need to pay attention to those granular data rather than just looking at kisne jeet liya, kaun state jeet liya, kaun state har gaya. Those things are important. But if you really want to study the rise or fall, then you have to look at a little bit more nuanced information.
So, should we see Prashant Kishor strategizing for Lalu and Rahul Gandhi in 2019?
I will not strategize for anyone. I've said this to the Prime Minister also, who has been in talks for last 1 year, and a lot of people have reported, speculated, कि जब मुझे करना ही नहीं है, सर मुझे करना ही नहीं है अब, I am done with it. क्यों नहीं करिएगा 19 के बाद कीजिएगा. मैं सर हमें नहीं करना है. I'm done and dusted with being this freelance, in your words, ideology agnostic guy who takes crores of rupees, which has never come to me except for the papers. I've told him that sir मेरे बस का नहीं है, मैं नहीं करना चाहता हूँ, and next 2 years this is what I want to do. See, but I also realized that when you do this, you have no control. Like voter, you do not have any control post a person's victory. And it is not about whether that person rewards me a post or he doesn't rewards with me a post. So I realized कि भाई it's a thankless job. मुझे अब नहीं करना है, with all the satisfaction which I draw from what I was doing, and the power and the might that you are working with, as Shankarsan said, big daddies of who is who. So it's enough is enough. I want to really spend next 2-3 years advising people who want to come to the politics. If I can advise Modi ji and Nitish Kumar, I can also advise those who want to become Mukhya. And if I am able to do this to 10,000 people in Bihar, and I think it will open up a new domain.